International Day to celebrate the International Women's Day 2024. So while traditionally observed on March 8th, this occasion transcends a single date. It's a global movement that amplifies the voices and stories of women, highlighting their achievements and demanding a world where equality thrives. Today's program is dedicated to celebrate the achievements of women all over the world. And today we will also be announcing the winners of our slogan writing competition and the Instagram photography competition, both centered around the inspired theme of International Women's Day. Well, the seeds of International Women's Day were planted over a century ago, during a time when women's rights were severely restricted. Early 1900s witnessed the rise of labor movements with courageous women fighting for the right to vote. Their fight for basic rights ignited a spark that grew into a global movement for equality. Fast forward to today, and the International Women's Day has become a powerful platform. It brings light to challenges women still face. The fight for equal pay, access to education, and the right to live free from violence. It's a day to celebrate the incredible achievement of women in science, politics, arts, and every field imaginable. From pioneering CEOs to community leaders and everyday heroes, women are shaping the world around us. But International Women's Day is more than just a celebration. Let us make this day a springboard for action, and we can build a future where the achievements of women are not just celebrated for a day, but recognized and valued every single day. INYAS also realizes the undeniable role of women in shaping the society and economy of our nation. INYAS has been actively promoting connections among the young scientists of our nation as well as around the world for science promotion, the exchange of ideas, discussions, and collaborations. And this has already made a significant impact on the ground. So to introduce you to the detailed activities of INYAS, I request the coordinator of INYAS its zone, Dr. Rohit Ranjan Shahi, to take over the Zoom platform. Rohit, the floor is all yours. Rohit, are you here?
If Rohit has not yet joined, then
Yeah, Rohit.
Nishant can start.
Yeah, Nishant,
yes,
can start.
You can start speaking about INYAS and then start welcoming Gitanjali.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you everyone for joining. It's a pleasure to be here. This event, I think, has been organized over as an online event, and today is the culmination of the activities that have happened, and I think the winners will be announced today. So it's I'm sure a great occasion, and people are really excited to feel the heat of this. I guess I hope. It hasn't been announced to them yet. Okay, wonderful. So thanks to all the participants for joining, and thanks to our everyone from INYAS as well. Thanks to Gitanjali for finding time out to join us. As the chairperson of INYAS, I just would like to very briefly highlight the activities and what INYAS is about. So without showing any slides, just giving you an overview of it. So just for the participants so that they are aware of what we are doing. So INYAS stands for Indian National Young Academy of Science. It has been a brainchild of Indian National Science Academy, New Delhi. So 2014 was when this was established. 2015 it actually started with its activities, and we are celebrating the 10th year of its establishment. So it started with only 20 members in its foray, and today we are proud to say that we are more than 110 members at the moment. So every year we are getting around 20 to 30 members. It's a very tough competition, where young scientists are able to apply for this, and then after a very difficult scrutiny process that we go through, the chances are less than 10% of finally getting selected. So as of now, we have 116 members right now, and uh, the membership tenure is for 5 years, and beyond that, we are all still a part of INYAS. Like Dr. Gitanjali has been an active member of INYAS and is a very active member of the INYAS alumni. So INYAS alumni is a part of INYAS always, and we keep exchanging ideas and keep discussing what and how we need to move forward. So, as a part of INYAS, we do a lot of activities promoting science across different uh, sectors and domains of the community. So, science outreach activities are one of our core activities. Then we also conduct a lot of workshops, training programs, then certain competitions. For example, even at the PhD levels, sometimes we are hosting competition at schools and college levels. So some of the programs that we have conducted over the past include our very special flagship events. In fact, last week itself, we were conducting our flagship event called Prayojan, which was a huge success. So Prayojan is basically for post PhD research opportunities that people from the PhD community and the PhD and the post PhD postdoctoral students were trying to get an idea about what are the opportunities available in different sectors of the post PhD life. And then we also host activities, flagship activities like RU Setup, which is for rural education and training of teachers. Not only primary teachers, but also we are focusing at school level students as well from this time onwards. We also have a dedicated program for women in science. So, of course, International Women's Day for women in science. These are definitely activities that we continue every year. But in addition to that, we are conducting events specifically focusing on women in science throughout the year as well through our flagship program called Wisdom. So there we are conducting a lot of activities, online mode, physical mode, and also some activities which are ongoing, like to showcase the kind of work that our scientists are working on, women scientists are working on from our country. So yeah, I mean it's a vibrant community of very actively working young scientists across the country. We have a very good team which spans throughout the country. Have a very robust gender and diversity as well. So this year we recruited 30 members, out of which I think 19 members were women. So we do keep and try and ensure that our gender balance is maintained pretty well. We put an effort towards that, and even today, as you can see, most of our women members, active INYAS members, are here conducting this event throughout. And what better can this be when we have our own INYAS alumni, Dr. Gitanjali Yadav, um, as one of our experts here today. So, without going into too many details about INYAS, because today is the day for celebrating the participants' activities and their achievements, I would just go ahead and introduce Dr. Gitanjali Yadav. So, she is an expert in the field of botany, whose passion for understanding the mysteries of plant life has led her on a remarkable journey for discovery. So her academic journey is as diverse as the flora she studies. She has a PhD in immunology from the prestigious NII JNU, which is coupled with a master's degree in biomedical research and a graduate degree in botany from the University of Delhi. She has cultivated a unique perspective at the intersection of multiple disciplines, hence. So, over the last 5 years, she has served as a lecturer at the esteemed University of Cambridge, participating in a joint deputation bridging the academic landscapes of India and the United Kingdom. Her contributions to teaching and research are not only evident in the halls of academia, but also in the digital realm, where her work is showcased prominently on the web pages of Cambridge Bioinformatics Training Facility and the commemoration of 50 years of women in science at Cambridge. At the heart of Dr. Yadav's research lies a fundamental question: how do plants evolve and navigate their way through diverse environments, adapting and thriving in new realms? Her innovation approaches and synthesizes this principle of botany, geography, chemistry, and pushing all boundaries to understanding the plant biology. So, beyond her scholarly pursuits, Dr. Geetanjali is a passionate advocate for the promotion of science as a way of life, dedicating her time to inspire students in schools and colleges. As a mentor for women in science, both nationally and internationally, she empowers next generation of female scientists to pursue their dreams with confidence and determination. Away from the lab, Dr. Yadav indulges her love for exploration and adventure as a travel enthusiast through her captivating storytelling, enriching with dashcam footages, drone photography, snapshots captured with phones. She shares her experiences with audiences across the world, inviting them to see the beauty of nature and world through her eyes. So we keep seeing her updates on social media as well, amazing updates, and I would encourage everyone to become a follower of Dr. Geetanjali. So without further ado, Geetanjali, the stage is all yours. Thank you very much for taking time out for us and motivating all the participants here. Thank you.
Nishant, this is too much. So thank you very much for this lovely introduction. But absolutely no need to follow me, anybody, because I'm not on Insta. Now this whole event is for Insta, and only the youngsters are on Insta. I am not on Insta, and it's so difficult to learn something new. When you realize in life that the world has gone ahead of you, and there's so much more happening out there. So it's a pleasure to be here to meet everybody. And most importantly, I take this opportunity to congratulate and compliment all the young members of the Indian National Young Academy of Science, INYAS. You guys keep coming up with newer and newer ideas, competitions, programs, events for students and young scientists to constantly be involved with society. And I think that kind of an input is extremely important, especially in the current era when we find that youth is losing attention spans. And I feel that such competitions, I remember the last time I was part of a competition with INYAS many years ago, I think it was just before the pandemic, was when you had held a poster competition. And today it's a pleasure for me to be part of the effective slogans. And I want to be hearing the slogans of the winners today. I want to see what photographs you have clicked. And if only Insta pe dikhta hai, so I'm very happy to become a member of Insta and log into Insta and see the winners of today's competition that you guys have created. But overall, I believe that INYAS is an extremely empowering platform for all researchers in all areas of STEM. I am here representing women in STEM today, women in tech particularly. But I think so I want to know, Nishant and maybe Chirashri, was this competition for slogans and photography, was it limited to women? Was it a Women's Day special, this one, or was it open to everybody?
It was related to the theme, the sustainable society with gender equality, but it was open to all participants, not
Oh,
limited to
wonderful.
women. Yeah, we
Okay.
had both male and female participants. So maintaining gender equality once.
This is wonderful. This is wonderful. This is one question I had in my mind, but from your poster, I couldn't understand. So may I share my screen? I can try to possibly share my screen over here.
Yes, Ananya, you can help.
I think I can. Yes, I think
Yes.
it is working. Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, it's fine. It's perfect.
And is it on the full play mode?
Now it's on the full screen mode. Yeah, you can.
Very good. Wonderful. So, once again, very glad to be here today and wanting to see what effective slogans you guys have come up with, and writing slogans, making posters, creating, clicking pictures, all of these little bits of ways to connect with society. I believe they depend upon our communication skills. And it is very important today in whatever field you're in, whatever you're doing, You must and must cultivate your communication skills. You have to be able to tell the world what you're thinking, and they have to understand. Listeners, readers, viewers must understand what you were trying to communicate. And so therefore, once again, kudos to INYAS for being able to pull together newer and newer kinds of ideas of making youth participate in science. Women in plant science, the topic of the day, because we're talking about women, my own talk will be about women in tech, women in AI, but women in science in general, women in STEM. We represent, I think, an increasingly diverse global sisterhood. And it's quite remarkable that most of the challenges that we have faced, whether you cross national, international boundaries or cultures or religions or subject silos, talk to women in different subjects, you find that the challenges are very, very similar across different barriers, different areas of life and jobs and so on. But when you think about the strengths, women also have very similar strengths, but usually we wouldn't get to know about those strengths unless we talk to each other. We meet each other through such platforms and are able to share our experiences and connect with each other and find a method to sustainably support each other, as INYAS has done and created. So today's slides I've basically generated about, it'll be a short talk about my work in tech and why I believe tech is very, very important for more and more women. There are many ways how you can think about empowering women in the country. Tech is one very important mechanism, and we need to break the techno-patriarchy big time together. And so that is where I want to focus my talk today. And I've designed these slides to kind of really go back and forth between my journey, as you will see on these slides, and my work, some of the work that I do, and what I hope that you might gain from it, or some lessons that I probably want to share with you through the work that I've been doing. So my current research, okay. My current research focuses on biodiversity informatics. Of course, we are trying to decipher the silent language of plants, or rather the variable genetic code. As you can see on this slide, there is a particular plant that I'm keen on. It's the Lantana camera species. It's an invasive weed, but we are very keen on understanding what makes it so dominant. And plants are not just communicating with each other, but with the rest of the biosphere. All of life is complex chemistry. So there's a lot of chemistry, botany, and geography that I use in my work. This work is important for conservation because our focus is on this guy you see on the screen right here, Lantana camera. It's an invasive species that poses a huge threat to biodiversity. And one might consider, why would you be interested in biodiversity? And then what are we doing about it? So my interest in biodiversity began at a very young age. Some of you are students today. When I was a student, even before when I was even littler, I had no expectation of becoming a scientist or doing tech, but I was constantly traveling because my father was in a job that was constantly he was getting posted from one place to another. And so we were often living in very small towns, distant from main big urban centers of the country. And much of my childhood has been spent in the the 7 northeastern states of India, one of India's major biodiversity hotspots. And so two things happened over there. One was that I got to explore nature, as you can see in some of these photographs. And I have tried to use photographs so that, those in the competition may be able to see that it's important to convey your message via pictures. And the second thing that happened to me, because I was traveling so much, was to discover my love for reading. We did not have the internet. We did not have Google Bhagwan in our days, but we had libraries. I used to read Huckleberry Finn. I used to read about the adventures of the peas by Mendel, also the adventures of Madame Curie, Darwin. I didn't know I would be a scientist, but I knew that these people did some amazing adventures that helped the world. I was very much impressed by the way Isaac Newton felt about light transforming to matter. And I was very, very much impacted by Lavoisier's story, what the world lost because he was killed on the guillotine before he could discover more chemicals. And then there was the botanist Vavilov, the Russian botanist whose crop gene bank, many of you who are, I don't know if you've studied botany, but the great man himself died tragically of the one thing that he spent his whole life trying to prevent, and that was starvation. And today, his crop gene bank is what allows the world to believe that we can save ourselves and carry on further. So these the idea here, I mentioned to you already that I read about all these people. Madame Curie was possibly the only woman scientist about whom I read. So I didn't much know about females or women being in technology, being in science. And therefore, we need to celebrate women. I'm a plant scientist, Nishanta's told you already, and I want to talk to you about so many women scientists about whom you might not have heard of. But Beatrix Potter, the one who wrote about Peter Rabbit, if you read Peter Rabbit's stories, Beatrix Potter was a botanist, and she was the best drawer of lichen. Even today, the pictures of lichen that you have from Beatrix Potter beat anything else that exists. And she used to draw these pictures because, of course, she didn't have a camera. And the only way to change the situation, today we have wonderful women scientists. INYAS is doing greatly to bring women scientists on the platform, get them to share their stories. I think the only way to change the situation and celebrate women across tech is to tell these stories. And that is why I'm telling the stories about these women whom I find extremely, extremely inspirational in my journey. And we have to continue to tell their stories, and we have to continue to tell our stories also. So that brings me back to my own research. My second research interest, other than biodiversity informatics, is to understand how nature has evolved and optimized, as you can see on this slide, mechanisms to improve photosynthetic efficiency of crops, of plants. And we study the higher crops by looking at the smaller organisms that are doing photosynthesis in the oceans, green alga. And you see this beast on the slide right here. My students, all females again, C2, Kavita, Kamlesh, have done fantastic work in exploring green carbon efficiency of certain catalysts that are involved in photosynthesis, reducing data dimensionality by studying different omics data sets, genomes, proteomes. We look at metabolomes, we look at regulomes, we look at interactomes, and these students, these girls are so good at putting in geotagging is something that C2 came up with. But right now, my newest student, Preeti, and Kamlesh have come up with newer methods of being able to do the same thing. This work, the one that we're doing, is important to food security because, again, and all of photosynthetic efficiency, it translates directly into higher productivity or greater biomass of the crops that you're looking at, and therefore food security. All of our approach, whether you look at my biodiversity informatics work or the food security work that we're doing, all of it depends upon tech. And the tech we use is data science and modern AI methods and machine learning. And this is because our work is how should I put this, knowledge-based. The knowledge-based approach allows us to combine traditional methods with modern technology and be more interdisciplinary. If any of you have used ChatGPT, you are using generative AI on text, but AI is happening on computer vision, on sound, on genomes, on DNA, on proteins. And so if you have used ChatGPT, I would encourage you to use ProtGPT for proteins, DNA GPT for exploring the darker space of the DNA sequences, or codon or BERT models, if not the GPT models. But overall, machine intelligence is something you can, this is a bandwagon you can latch onto now. India missed the GM bus. We all know that we missed the GM train. India should never not miss the gene editing train, for example, and the machine intelligence aspect. Who better than Indians to be leading machine intelligence in every sense? We are currently looking at multi-omics, as I told you, for food security, multi-omics data sets. We are trying to do AI over the microbiomes. We are looking at soil microbiomes right now. We are trying to do a lot of chemoinformatics with big data. And we're trying to cluster these zillions and zillions of plants and chemicals or structure organism pairs, as we call them, through a third connecting parameter called the DOI numbers of large scale. So we are doing AI over NLP for most of these things. And so therefore, I cannot, however much I tell you today, I cannot sufficiently emphasize the role that interdisciplinary work or transdisciplinary thinking can play in your life, in your work. I have personally experienced the amazing benefits that you can have of working at multiple different fields and technologies. You heard Nishant tell you that I did my graduation in botany, then postgrad in biomedical research. My specialization was stereochemistry, and then I did my PhD in coding and immunology and computational immunology, essentially. And then I moved back to plants. And so therefore, I'm in a position to now combine all of those different strengths that I picked up during my studies, and that time also I wasn't studying it because I knew I would someday combine these subjects. I did it 25 years ago. I was studying mostly worried about what, peer pressure is so strong for students. You feel what you're doing is not the right thing, maybe something else is there. And I was constantly trying to get ahead of myself to see that this is not just me, I can do more than this. So I kept changing my subjects, wanting to learn something more about something. And then suddenly at a point when I had finished my PhD, I realized that I have to stop and do what I love. And what I love most is plants, since I was a child, since I was growing up in the sacred forests of the northeastern states of India. And so therefore I came back to plant science. But I was able to use the expertise that I had gained from these different subjects of mine. And so therefore I'm a data scientist. We use multi-omics visualizations today. We use chemistry, physics, fossil records also of pollen in ancient civilizations. We use world trade records, social data, robotics, geospatial modeling, and all kinds of analytics to address the global challenge of feeding an ever increasing population. At the turn of this millennium, you all know that 17 sustainable development goals were created by the United Nations. For what? For tackling the single sole biggest issue facing the earth, poverty. And what has happened today? We are 24 years down the line. 2030 was the target for the Sustainable Development Goals. What is happening today? What is happening today is just less than a year back, the UN Secretary General said that all the 17 goals, half of them have not even achieved 1/3 of what was intended. Many of these goals are lacking in a very big way. And what has happened? The reason this UN Secretary General said was that there is not enough tech. And what is that tech which is going to transform all the 17 goals? It's AI. AI has come in now. We're in a position now to use tech to be able to make a difference to the world. And therefore, yes, I rely upon machine intelligence. I insist and emphasize that you should learn, if you haven't already, picked up data science. And therefore, it is very, very important that you learn new things and continue to learn. Coming back to my own education, I've told you already, I've learned all these different things, so I won't go into that again. But it's very important to especially come back and be able to make a difference. And when you say you want to make a difference, every single drop counts. Whatever little bit you do is great. And which is why I'm always so impressed with the way new members of INYAS are able to come up with new ideas and do something. Every little thing that you do is brilliant. INYAS is celebrating 10 years here. One of my co-alums in INYAS has come up with this lovely little way of presenting INYAS at 10 years, which I've put on this slide because I love the way she built it. It was her conceptualization of what INYAS is at 10 years. But alongside of that, you will see so many other opportunities which are there for women and girls and youngsters in science. There's the Kota Kanya program, there is the Vigyan by the Pune Knowledge Cluster, and of course, me and my collaborators and colleagues, we have set up, co-founded Semantic Climate, in which we are working towards climate and trying to build a global citizen science movement for climate. You're welcome to join us, work with us. And it is all a group of volunteers whom you see on the stage. And I think it's very, very, very important that together we can indeed change the world. And so therefore, each one of you can make a change as well. And as I said, congrats, kudos to INYAS for being able to do that. There is also Gati on this page. Do you see somewhere there's Gati, which hopes to bring Athena Swan to India. There's also, INYAS has been, Nishant, you would know better if INYAS is still continuing to mentor girl students and their parents, because I remember we used to be doing that in rural, remote areas. Often we used to go to remote areas and talk to girl students and their parents also. It was very important for us to be able to somehow convince the parents to allow the girls to study further. Those of you who are listening to me, girl students, young faculty members, please ensure that the young girls around you are able to continue and follow up with science, okay? And there's another thing that we've done recently. We've started that, a small premise that we have to practice what we preach. And this began during the pandemic with INYAS again. Some of you may remember, some of the INYAS members may remember that we did a We With Their program to enable women or virtually induct women as data youth and AI professionals. And at that time, we had done a course on introductory data science. We've restarted that course now within Semantic Climate. And I would be, these are things that I think we should absolutely continue so that young girls who have absolutely no programming prior knowledge in tech can also come in and pick up tech. That's one thing that I want to suggest that we must do. The second thing I want you to do is to join Swati or become Swati. So this is a premise where we want every school kid, every girl who has studied any STEM subject in India, starting from school, should become a part of the Swati program. This is Science for Women, a tech and innovation portal, an initiative of the 3 Indian academies. In the 75th year of our independence, there is a QR code on the screen. You just click your phone on that, click a picture, and there'll be a short series of questions. Become a member of Swati. Many INYAS, women in INYAS are already members of Swati. It is open for anyone who is a postgraduate. I mean, you have to be a graduate or above, a girl, a graduate or above, who has ever done, even if your mom, your grandmom, if she has studied STEM in India, get them to become part of Swati, because this portal, once it recognizes, or once it has built in a huge group, of Swati women across India, the government intends, or the 3 academies intend, that the opportunities for women and newer platforms should be made available to them through this portal. And so therefore, the thing that I'm trying to say is, whatever much has happened till now, well and good. Is there more scope? Yes, there is always more scope. And so therefore, there's no question of resting in peace, because enough is being done for women. I think we constantly need to highlight stories of successful women scientists. And such stories are the ones that create awareness, that connect women in science among the listeners with role models among the speakers, and bring opportunities, bridge the gaps, and bring out the huge untapped potential that is there in women in science, whose contributions often go unnoticed. Okay. And on that particular note of building a sisterhood, I would like you to please join this National Compendium of Indian Women and Girls in STEM that I did help to design and implement it, but basically it's a 3 academies program, and it's been put together by these 3 academies and dedicated to all girls and all women in the country. If you are an Indian, once again, and if you ever studied, or if your sister, if you're a boy listening to me today, or if you're a male scientist listening to me today, if your sister or your wife or your mother or your friend or your classmate or batchmate has ever studied any STEM subject in India, get them to join Swati, and you can become Swati in a matter of minutes. Okay. And if there's any questions, always you're welcome to come back to ask me. But the other thing I want to say is, if you're the only girl in the room, you got to change it. I'm so happy that INYAS leads in so many ways. You'll never find a single girl on the INYAS table. There'll always be a group or women. There'll be more than one, because it is the sisterhood that sustains itself. If you are the only girl in the room, there's something wrong with the room. If you are the only girl on the table, there's something wrong with the table. It's not a good thing. And you got to change it. You got to bring in others, or you got to say, no, I will not be here alone, because there's got to be others with me on this table too. And there's a lot of other issues with women. I think with girls also, there are lots of challenges. I think women especially struggle for asking for help, because it requires you to, number one, use a mechanism that you don't always do, which is to acknowledge your own vulnerability. You're not, women are not in the practice of failing publicly, because we feel we're failing so much often, but not publicly. So we don't want to ask for help. What if the other person says no? And that's another thing, the responsibility. You want to save the other person from the hassle of helping you, okay? Maybe they've got a lot on their plate and you're just disturbing them. But I'm just telling you, don't talk yourself out of letting somebody help you. What you don't realize is that you're denying that other person the life juice of being able to help you. It's such a feel-good factor. People will be more than happy and willing to help you. You have to let them help you, okay? And I've listed some of the other challenges which I feel sometimes that women share but don't talk about. I think we need to talk about these issues, about how you feel. If somebody says 10 good things about you and 1 bad thing, you'll remember that bad thing and you'll forget the good things. That's called the negativity bias. You have to remember the 10 good things, because they are 10, right? So it's very, very important. You should not compare and despair. You should not undermine your own achievements. You should not give in to social expectations. Expectations are the death of hope, of possibility, of alternate futures. Do not give in to social expectations. So finally, once again, I'm looking forward to see your posters, your slogans and your pictures. But my message is that you should stop apologizing and you should constantly try to reinvent yourself. With that, I hope I've not taken too much time, Chirashri. I think it is. Is it all right?
Absolutely in time.
Thank you so much. That's all I want to say, and I want to stick around and see what the winners have done, what the participants have done. If there is a possibility of looking at the slogans, I'd love to see the slogans also. Thank you so much for having me here. How do I stop sharing? I think I'm somehow not able to stop sharing. बंद हुआ कि नहीं हुआ अभी भी? Okay.
Shripana, you have posted a question. You can ask directly.
Yeah, you can read it, Chirashri, no problem.
Okay. So it was a wonderful talk, Tanjali, as usual. Valuing quality or increasing quantity? Which parameter do you consider essential for women empowerment?
That's a very interesting question, almost like asking work or home, which is more important. The balance is what is more important, my dear. I think you cannot let go of quality and you cannot consider quantity as bad, because quantitatively, much of the world is constantly gauging you or quantifying you or finding quantifiable measures to assess you. And letting go of that is also not acceptable, but again, not at the cost of quality. And therefore, there's got to be a mechanism to balance it out. I know it's a trick answer, but it is because I believe, just like the work-life balance, which every individual has to somehow find that place where sometimes you fail, sometimes you win. So sometimes you might give into quality, but sometimes you might have to stick to quantity. And it depends upon at what stage in life are you, what is the situation, what's the question, what is happening right now, and what decision should you make, about quality or quantity. Does that answer your question rightly?
Toton here. Just I want to compliment you. I just saw your slides. It is beautiful slides, just like your background. Beautiful slides. I find it so amazing. Nice to see your slides also. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for appreciating both the background. I put the background especially because it is my favorite. At this time of the year, Malayalis celebrate this Vishu, our national festival. It's a harvest festival. It just passed in April, but the flowers, the Amaltas, comes in Delhi in May, and so this month of May is for the Amaltas. And I have clicked it myself. It's my drone picture. और आज तो आप लोगों का photography का ही competition है with slogans. So this is something I've done and I especially put it. I'm glad you noticed it. And the slides also, I took a long time designing, preparing, putting it together. I'm presenting to INYAS after a long time. And I wanted to be able to somehow connect my love for plants through pictures, as well as my story, as well as the need for AI and breaking tech patriarchy. Good that you noticed. Thank you. Thank you so much.
There is one more question. Can you please elaborate about Swati's future plan regarding women empowerment?
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for asking. Swati portal is meant to be a portal where, after 75 years, there's so many different things people are doing. All of us want to make a difference, but if you're a woman or a girl and you want an opportunity and you don't know where to find it, you would be looking at various different websites. So what we are thinking right now is that if there's a portal where you are a member and you get a login and you get a Swati ID, it's like an ORCID ID. If you're a researcher, maybe you have an ORCID ID. That ORCID ID allows you to have an identity of your own. And for somebody who has an opportunity, such as I'm the funding agency, I have an opportunity and I want to give it to Indian women. If I want to give it to Indian women, finding Indian women for me is a very difficult task. Should I go to the zillions of colleges, universities, academic organizations, or academies? There are multiple academies. The best thing would be if I have access to a series of IDs. I know that for India, if you're a woman in science or STEM in India, you would have a Swati ID. And what Dr. Renu Swarup, who was the original ideator of this idea, she said that every woman, once she has an ORCID ID or the Swati ID, then the government would be able to share opportunities through the ID, or you could actually use the ID as your profile. So there are certain times that everybody doesn't have a page. You either have to create a social media page, or you have to wait for your company or your organization to create a web page for you. But that is only for faculty members, not for students often, right? So you end up doing your own WordPress. But in Swati, you get to have a page, which is your profile, which will be connected to the ID that Swati is going to give to you. And so through that, people can see not just your achievements and about you, but also how things have been changing for you. Swati is a dynamic portal. So for example, I'm working at NIPGR today. Tomorrow I might move to, let's say, Cambridge University again. And so my page can dynamically, I have the freedom to change my page. Nobody else can change my page. So it is for every woman to put their information. It's a very small card. We are creating these data cards. And the idea for Renu Suru came up with the idea of putting a portal together, but I came up with the idea of data cards because within INYAS, when we were INYAS, we came up with the scheme of putting together cards for women. So a lot of things have gone in, a lot of years of effort has gone into this. It is still very, very, very incipient because at the 75th anniversary this year in February, Swati was launched. So it's been only a few months. But I believe very strongly, and the academies believe very strongly, that if more and more women join Swati, then there is a possibility that one day this is going to be the single sole ID, the card that women in India would have and be able to access opportunities through that. Does that make sense? I mean, I'm trying to tell you what the idea behind Swati is, and I hope it will be successful. But without you, without each one of you helping to make it a success, it will not be so. Let's start with the academies. All fellows and especially Vinyas members have already become part of Swati. Many college teachers, students, university students have become part of Swati. You're more than welcome. Thanks.
Yeah. So we have another question for an amazing presentation by you. There are young girls who still hesitate to take up male-dominated career choices like technology. What advice do you have for them, and how do they handle the social pressure?
Oh, Baba, who has asked this question? Riddhi has asked this question. I should have, Riddhi, wicked of you to ask me right here. But the truth is that Riddhi is absolutely right. There is this thing about, as I said, about women particularly, you always feel ki mujhe mein kuch kami hogi, and probably I'm not there. Yesterday, I was talking to some school kids from rural UP who had come to NIPGR, my institution, to see how agriculture. So these girls said, ma'am, our teachers, our parents, and everybody around us, the peer pressure said there is medical or engineering in India. What else can you do? After a few years, somebody says UPSC is the third option. And they said, we want to do something in agriculture. They said, we want to change technology in agriculture. But women, how do we bring in girls and women to think beyond medical and engineering into tech, and tech also to be focused on tech and agriculture? I love that question so much. And there was a friend of mine who was standing right there. She said, come on, learn drone technology, and all of you should become drone pilots and take it to your fields, in your villages, in your rural farms, and be able to monitor the whole farm for precision agriculture. And I said, drone tech learn karne se pehle jahan bhi ho, please learn AI. Please pick up. If you can do chat GPT today, you are already using generative AI. It is a black box. You put the data in, you get something out, you train it, you get something better. It is not rocket science. You can pick it up right now. And in India, particularly in India, leaving aside all the issues of the world, women in the world, in India, we believe very strongly and conventionally, it has been ingrained into our DNA that आपको घर पे रहना है, आप केयर गिवर हो, अगर आप वर्क भी करते हो तब भी आप केयर गिवर हो, आप शाम को भी आओगे तो वापस आके घर का काम तो आपको ही करना पड़ेगा. If you have to spend more time at home or work from home, many families, parents believe that girls should work from home. They should not go out and do jobs. In that case, also, AI is your rescuer. You sit at home, open your internet, be in your room, don't go out, and you can still win and make a mark on the world because you're an AI expert, a tech expert. AI is the way to break the techno patriarchy. And I have, I am obsessed about it. Every girl, every student, every child must learn AI and can pick up AI. Up to National Education Policy has insisted that you will learn AI in school. My daughter is in class 9. She has chosen AI as a subject. But the truth is, You can do, you can learn, and you can pick it up even as a game. Just go to the Google Teachable Labs. If you haven't tried it, go to Google. There's Teachable Labs, and Teachable Labs allows you to use AI over sound. अपनी ही आवाज को AI पे train करो. अपने ही pictures को AI train करो to recognize your pictures compared to your friend's pictures or your sister's pictures. Do it as a game, and you will learn that you can pick it up even better. So let's break the patriarchy and not believe that technology in the past was connected with bahar jaake kuch kaam karna hai. No longer. And because bahar jaane ka issue ab nahi hai, so that mindset of sending girls out, sending daughters out in an unsafe world, in an unsafe place is no longer there. Let's pick up AI. Let's become programmers, all of us, and let's just change the world, staying right here in our homes. You can of course go out and do it also, but even if you cannot, you can do AI. That is my Ramban for everything. Okay, I know I'm a bit over on that, but I believe it can change the world. Riddhi, what else?
Yeah, thanks for this illustrative answer. Actually, I was about to ask you that since there are young students from both school and college today amongst the participants, so what would be your recommendations for the girl students that would not like to pursue STEM in their career, but can they be involved still in the field of AI even after pursuing non-STEM or humanities background?
Yes, absolutely, Chirashri, that is not impossible. Because see, in the olden days, we used to say that agar aapne physics nahi kara, to aap पायलट नहीं बन सकते एक्चुअली. बट ड्रोन पायलट बनने के लिए आपको सिर्फ दो हफ्ते का कोर्स करना है, एंड 2 हफ्ते के कोर्स के लिए कोई प्री रेक्विजिट नहीं है. इन द सेम वे एट कैम्ब्रिज, आई डिस्कवर्ड दिस एट कैम्ब्रिज यूनिवर्सिटी व्हेन आई स्पेंट 5 years in Cambridge. We were teaching complete novices, grown-ups, mostly professionals from the corporate sector used to come to us कि हमने तो कभी AI data science पढ़ा ही नहीं, but right now everybody needs it. Everybody in finance, in health, in medicine. And we were doing courses. So we had a calendar. We still have a calendar at the bioinformatics training facility of the Cambridge University, where you can pick up a certification in data science, in Python, in R, in machine learning, in AI, from a span of 2 days to 6 days. If they can do it in 2 days to 6 days, Indians are the most incredibly intelligent people in the world, and the more dedicated and the most loyal, the most hardworking. And so therefore, when I came back to India, I started these series of courses called Protocols from Home. फिर pandemic हुआ, फिर हम लोगों ने INYAS के साथ हम लोगों ने कितने सारे courses एक साथ किए. Even now, there are so many portals, opportunities, places where you can pick up AI and learn AI. If you don't have the time, play the games of AI, the Google Teachable Labs. The thing is, it can be learned, it can be picked up. And so I believe that it is not impossible to do. Does that answer your question, Chirashri?
Absolutely, absolutely fine. Yeah. And do you think the potential of AI be harnessed also to reduce gender inequality in society?
Entirely. It's the one thing. When I called it a Ramban, that was not a joke. For me, I think it's seriously the one leveler that is going to actually bring women absolutely out of the boondocks where we have always been relegated to. And I believe that as if you're a mom, if you're a caregiver, if you're a daughter who has to take care of her parents, if you're somebody who cannot travel abroad for whatever reason to go to the top university in the world to learn something, but if you have the internet, access to the internet, which we did not have 20 years ago, but today you have it at your fingertips, you can pick up AI, you can learn. You need to understand a little bit of coding. Yes, that is true. You need to understand a little bit of statistics. Yes, that is true. But not a degree in mathematics is required for that. So you can really pick it up with a lot of very comfortable YouTube tutorials today. I would not say Coursera pe jaake kuch learn karo, ya Udemy pe jaake learn karo, pay karo. This is all, the world is changing to open source also. Much is available freely. And if you can't find it there, come and follow us. We do things for free all the time. I'm doing these SERB courses that accelerate Vigyan. We've been doing with data science for so long. INYAS is doing countless, you yourself are doing so many programs here for women. I believe that this is one thing, this tech, and of course, the United Nations Secretary General also said that this is the tech that can save the world by truly equating people. And I think gender equality and gender equity and true diversity comes because this is something where nobody's looking at your face. Nobody is seeing how pretty or how not pretty you are. They're looking at what work was done, what's the code, what the code does. My climate justice work mostly being done by women. I don't see them, I don't meet them often, but their code is so good. you feel that this is true gender equity, gender parity, where you don't know who's coding, but they're coding brilliantly. Why not get there, girls? Right?
Are there any more questions? Okay then. Thank you,
Okay.
Gitanjali, once again for sharing your wonderful views about the inclusion of women in AI. And I have sent you the results separately. If you wish, you can see that.
Thank you so much. I'll be around for a while. Thank you, Chirashri, for inviting.
Okay, yeah.
Great
Thanks a
meeting.
lot for giving your time. So now may I request our member, Dr. Kutubuddin Molla, to familiarize the participant with our next speaker, Dr. Kaushik Shamanto.
Yes, thank you very much, Chirasri, and for giving me this opportunity to introduce our next speaker. So it's my real pleasure to introduce Dr. Kaushik Shamanto, who is now currently working as an associate professor of chemistry at the School of Basic Sciences, IIT Bhubaneswar. And Dr. Kaushik Shamanto, he has obtained his bachelor's degree from University of Calcutta in chemistry, and then he moved to Mumbai to obtain his master's degree in chemistry from IIT Mumbai. Then he moved to the US to obtain his doctoral degree from Texas A&M University in theoretical chemistry. And after completing his PhD, he has done three postdocs. One from Johns Hopkins University, another is from Rice University, and the third one is from the University of Pennsylvania. And, as I said, he's now currently working as an associate professor of chemistry in IIT Bhubaneswar. And INYAS is lucky to have Dr. Shamanto as a speaker in today's event. And he will speak on catalyst of change, gender equality for a greener and fairer society. So without losing much time, I want to hand over these to Dr. Shamanto. Over to you, Dr.
Shamanto. Thank you, Dr. Kutubuddin, for the nice introduction. And thanks to INYAS for giving me this opportunity to speak in such an occasion. So let me start sharing. I hope my screen is visible now.
Yes, it's fine.
Okay.
Yes, it's fine.
All right. Before I begin my talk, actually, I once again want to give thanks to the organizers, especially INYAS, for giving me this opportunity. And this is a wonderful chance to talk on such a nice topic, gender equality for a greener and fairer society. I hope my entire screen is visible. The half of the screen, half of my screen is actually covered with some of the things. Can you see the entire screen, by the way?
Yes, it is fully visible here.
Fully visible. Okay, thank you. And I also want to take this opportunity to congratulate all the award winners for writing and composing things on such an important topic. Okay. So before I start my talk, let's give some disclaimer. Or this is a disclaimer for any kind of discussion, because I'm talking about something called gender equality, and I'm from a community, basically from a male fraternity. So I should not cross some lines. So these are the topics I am trying to basically stick to. Number one is, I'm not trying to do mansplaining. Mansplaining is a situation where a man explains something to a woman in a condescending or patronizing manner, typically about the topic on which the woman is knowledgeable or experienced. So men do that because men feel like they are kind of superior. I'm not trying to do that. So let's hope I don't cross that line. Second is, I'm not trying to talk, I'm not trying to be judgmental or bias oriented. And that refers to unequal treatment or representation of individual based on the stereotypes or deviation thereof. We'll talk about stereotypes in a minute. And on the other extreme, the wokeness is kind of being awakened to social injustice, particularly those related to race. In the extreme case, it can lead to excessive political correctness, censorship, and the suppression of dissension leading to divisiveness and polarization. In today's world, it's already divided, it's already polarized. Let's not add fuel to that. Okay, so now we'll cover some basics and we'll talk about gender equality and how that can bring social progress. Now, as you have heard that I'm an associate professor in chemistry, what gives me the right to talk about such a topic? First of all, everyone has some opinion, and I feel like I have reached an age and where I should feel like I should rant, I should ramble, and that's a kind of age. I hope that you like this talk. So let's go over the basics first, then we'll talk about some numbers, and then we'll conclude. Okay. So we talked about the stereotypes, and let's see what kind of stereotypes we have in society. So we know that the male members should be breadwinners, they should be assertive, dominant, they should be lacking in emotions. They should also be career-oriented, they should be technical-minded, they should be less focused on childcare. So that is the stamp that society puts usually on the male members. On the other hand, for the females, they should be homemakers. They should be passive, submissive, emotional, and they should be nurturing to other younglings. And on top of that, the society expects them to be less competent in STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, management field. They are expected to be less technically oriented. Now, obviously, these are not true. Our young members in this audience must identify these things, that these are not true, but there are some members in the society, some of the things are basically ingrained in our society. So we have to break free of them. Now, let's see why stereotyping is bad. Because once you stereotype, once you expect someone to behave in a stereotypical manner, or if you expect someone to assume a stereotypical role, it basically limits individual potential. So if someone wants to be fighter and pilot, and if you want him or her to be homemaker, you are basically limiting her potential to achieve her goal or her dream. Now, if you put these limits, you enforce inequality. So we expect different kinds of things for men and women. So the society becomes unequal for men and women. So once you put these limits, once again, these are basically a chain effect. Once you put this limit, you constrain personal expression. So if someone wants to have some dream, if someone wants to express something, because of that limit, that expression is subdued. That expression, that voice never comes out. So once that is suppressed, that contributes to discrimination and bias, because some people are never expected to voice out, and some people in that way are perceived as weak. And once someone is perceived as weak, the strong members, they feel like they can do anything with them. They can do whatever on them. So that leads to gender-based and hate-based violence. So these are very much detrimental to the mental health and well-being. And you can see that basically limits the progress of the society. If you put down one group of members of the society to not doing anything useful to the progress of the society, then actually the progress is hampered. So that is what the stereotyping does. Now, let's take some actual numbers. This is data from 2015, and this is the global picture. This picture tells us in 2015, if there are 100 eligible men who can work, out of 100, there are 76 men are in the workforce. Contrast that to the women. If there are 100 female who can work, only 50 are actually in the workforce. It was estimated that if the equal number of participation from the women come into the picture, then by 2025, there will be a boost of 28 trillion US dollars. So let that number sink in your brain. Trillion means there are 9 zeros after 28. That's a very, very big number. We are lacking in that number. If you set aside everything else, that's a big number. Now, let's look at the other side. Is it bad if someone takes up a stereotypical role? Of course not. Gender stereotypes on their own aren't right or wrong per se. Some people may conform to them or not, depending on the situation or their preference. Some people may choose to do a stereotypical role out of their own volition. However, there is no reason why one should have to conform to the expectation of others based on your biological sex alone. And if someone is being judged because they don't adhere to the traditional gender stereotypes, that's when the problems arise. That's when the suppression arises. That's when the progress gets hampered. Okay, now, how do you get out of this chain? Dr. Yadav talked very elegantly, very nicely about a lot of things. We'll just touch upon a few points that I feel that are very important, actually. So in order to break chains, we need to follow a few points. To break chains, we have to join hands, and that will catalyze the growth. First and foremost is education, education, and education. So people need to be educated, not only the men or women, everyone needs to be educated. They should have proper education. They should have proper awareness. The awareness of the fact that there is a gap, there is an inequality. And unless there is an understanding, unless there is an awareness that the gap exists, that problem cannot be solved. So education and awareness are the two prime factors that we need to focus on. Second thing, in the modern life, media representation, media plays an important role. Now, if you think of all the media advertisement or the representation that you see in movies, in Bollywood, in Hollywood, in all kinds of movie industry, they basically thrive on stereotyping male and female. So they make you believe that male should behave this way, male should look like this, or female should behave this submissive way, or they should look like that. So as a result of that, it creates an unachievable, unattainable picture of a man or a woman. So it creates an unachievable proportion, a goal for the woman, that this is the right proportion, even though the normal look, a normal structure of male or female is different. So as a result of that, that leads to improper eating habits, causes health hazard, and hygiene problem. So media should play an important role not to basically hype on these gender stereotypes, not to hype on these inequalities. And also, the media and other people should begin to promote positive role models. The beauty queens are not the only role models. If someone wants to be beauty queen, well and good, but there are other attainable role models also. We as parents, we as the members, consensus members of the society, we should promote other role models also. And when it comes to parenting, we have seen there are some disparity in how we raise boys versus girls. Usually the boys are given technical-oriented toys like cars and all that things. And for girls, the toys that are given are mainly dolls, mainly cooking utensils kind of toys. So that we have to break free of that one. Boys are colored in blue, girls are colored in green. They are bought that kind of dresses. So we have to break free of that habit if we want to break the gender stereotypes. Now, second last point is the biases in the workplace. We have data actually to address the fact that in some places, some instances, I would say in most of the cases, there is a bias in the workplace that can manifest itself as the frequency of promotion and rate of salary and all these things. If there is a disparity in promotion policy, disparity in salary, disparity in other facilities, then that needs to be addressed. Otherwise, the equality can never come. And also, that can come from supporting diversity and inclusion initiatives. If there are enough number of female members and enough number of representation, then these kind of things will gradually walk away. Okay. So as a scientist, I feel like I should show you some data. Okay, I feel like that's my moral obligation to come up with some, show you some data. And first of all, let's see some data in terms of gender and education. So this is data from Asia survey in 21-22 from Ministry of Education, Government of India. And this first plot indicates the gross enrollment ratio in educational institute across India. So this is a plot on the right-hand side from the session 2017 to 18 to 2021-22. The gross enrollment ratio was hovering around 24.6 in around 2017, and now it has gone up to 28, approximately 28. So there is a progress, but it's not enough. So we need to do more on this one. We need to enroll more girl students. That is the overall enrollment, by the way, in all kinds of education. Now, this is another plot where we are talking about level-wise education enrollment. So it's once again from the same report. It shows the data from 2017-18 session to 21-22 session. And you can see that there are increase in enrollment from both male and female. Unfortunately, you can see even today, after several initiatives have been taken, I'll talk about the initiative if we have time. We can see that still female enrollment in undergraduate education is substantially low compared to the male enrollment. However, in postgraduate enrollment, the female are already catching up. The enrollments are almost comparable. That's a good sign. Now, this is another comparison, level-wise and gender-wise enrollment in STEM courses, science, technology, engineering, and management courses. Let's look at the very left side plot. Here, I'm talking about enrollment in undergraduate program. In engineering field, you can see that still there is a big difference in enrollment by male students versus female students. In science, you can see that the enrollment in undergraduate is almost comparable. That's a good sign. And in PG courses, you can see that the engineering enrollment for female is still low, but for science, the female enrollment is higher. That's very much encouraging. For the PhD on the right-hand side, you can see that men enrollment in engineering is still higher, but science enrollment is comparable. Okay, another encouraging sign is gender parity in higher education. So this indicates how many women are per 100 men. So if there is 100 men for 100 women, you can see that the parity is 1. That's equal parity. And if you compare this chart, the chart goes from 2000 to 2020. And in most of the cases, you can see that there is a progress. And especially in countries like Latin America and the Caribbean, in North America and Western Europe, East Asia and the Pacific, Arab states, even Central and Eastern Europe, Central Asia, South and West Asia, in all the cases, there is a very good gender parity. There is still room for improvement in Sub-Saharan Africa, but you can see that there is still progress, there is hope. And worldwide, we can see that there are 113 women enrolled in higher education for every 100 men. Okay, that's all well and good. And let's see how that percolates to the job market. So let's see the picture in the job situation. First, we'll look at the situation in India. It's a very sad situation. So as the number says, for every 100 able female, only 25 female members are actually in the workforce. The rest of the members are not, they haven't joined the workforce. Now we can contrast that with the male workforce population. If there are 100 men, then there are 77 men who are actually working. So there is a big contrast in Indian picture. So the picture that I mentioned in the beginning is in 2015 data. There is a slight increase in 21-22 analysis. It's 33%, and we'll quickly see where is the females in labor force is working, and what happened to the females outside the labor force. So in the females who are in the labor force, 20%, approximately 20% are self-employed, and approximately 5.3% are regular wage salaried employees. Others are casual laborers, or they recently are unemployed. Now, if you look at the right side, you can join up the first two boxes, and you'll see approximately 49% of the females are actually working domestically. They actually haven't joined their forces in the work. They work as a homemaker. So there are other contributions, like some females who is still continuing their studies. Now, there is some serious consequence of that, joining the less number of representation of females in the workforce. One direct consequence is that if you look at the average salary, the salary of an average man is approximately 21,000 per month. For women, it's about 15.7 or 16,000 per month. And across the states, there is a stark pay gap, wage gap in different states in the country. Now, this is a picture in the global market, global workforce. So in the top portion, we are talking about the share by sector. In the left-hand side, it's a service industry. By service industry, I mean the industries which do not produce or manufacture anything, but they provide service. It can be in the form of customer support. It can form in the form of delivery, or in the form of logistics. So you can see that there is a good representation from the female population. It's 61.5%. Now, if you compare that with the manufacturing industry, it's simply 13.5%, very low. In the agriculture, it's 25%. Now, if you look at the role of the females in the leadership positions, the 23% women are sitting in the seats in the parliament. So these are the leaders of our countries, our governments. There are only 23% women. And if you look at the Fortune 500 companies, there is only 4% women. If there are 100 CEOs in the Fortune 500 companies, only 4 of them are women. That's a very sad picture. That number is very low. Now, this is a global wage gap. Globally, women only make 70 cents for every dollar men earn. So if one man earn 100 rupees, women will earn 77 rupees. Okay, so there is a huge gap. So the main consequence of that is this analysis also performed a detailed survey and found that to bridge that pay gap, it will take approximately 70 years. That's a very long time. Now, there is some constraint on, especially for female workers. Let's look at them. So restrictive policies such as inflexible working hours and limited parental leave can impede women's mobility in the workforce and force them to choose part-time employment. So once women choose a part-time job, this exposes them to further inequalities, such as limited access to social protection, in particular old age benefits. Now, the most vulnerable of these inequalities are women with the children, because they cannot move out so frequently, and they cannot work the inflexible working hours. And this is also called something called motherhood penalty. And women are the most sufferer of that. All right. So, so based on different indicators, different dimensions of health, empowerment, and labor market, in different indicators like mental mortality ratio, adolescent birth rate, female and male population with at least secondary education, female and male shares in parliamentary seat, female and male labor force participation rates. They have prepared the UN Health Records. They prepared a gender gap index. So 0 means there is equality. So that is the goal that we should be striving toward. And the maroon or red is the point where it should be going away from. So globally, you can see there are a lot of greens and there are lots of maroon and red also. India lies somewhere in between. So there are a lot of room to work on. There are lots of things to work on. Okay, so let's look at our last point, that is gender equality, and how we can use that as a catalyst for a greener and fairer society. Now, if we have gender equality, that means we can have a better resource management. Equal access leads to sustainable and resource practices or sustainable resource practices. That means everyone has equal access to resources. Everyone can use the resources equally. That leads to something called social justice. Equality ensures the right and opportunities for all genders. Everyone has equal access to everything. Now, once you have access to equal access to everything equally, then diverse perspectives ensure better solutions for environmental challenge. Once you have equal stakes, you will care about everything in equal proportion. Now, that also leads to something called climate resilience. Empower women drive climate adaptation and mitigation efforts. If everyone takes equal stake in there, it is hoped that there will be our world, our planet should be a better place. Now, to summarize, we can say that gender equality is not only a matter of human rights, but also a prerequisite for building a greener, fairer, and more sustainable society. By advancing gender equality, we can create a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive in harmony with the planet. So with this, I want to end, and I want to just quote one comment from Emma Watson, the brilliant lady from Harry Potter. It is time that we all see gender as a spectrum instead of two sets of opposing ideals. So far, we have talked about male and female. There is a large gender spectrum in between. We should be inclusive of all gender variants or gender possibilities in order to strive toward a better society, toward a better, greener planet. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Samanta, for your wonderful lecture with a lot of details and where India lies and what to do. And I think that gives us a lot of, point of discussions in future and the direction in which we should go forward to reduce the gender gap in every sphere of our society. So there are a few questions for you in the chat box. So let me read out them. One is from Siparna. Siparna asked that to break the chain or catalyze growth, empathy, or challenging opportunity, which parameter do you consider to be essential parameter?
Okay, let me read this question once again. Okay.
Yes,
What
Siparna,
will be a
the first
suggestion? Yes, first question. Okay. So that's a very difficult question, actually, but let me try to understand answer from my own capacity. So, so the main parameters that we should be working on, I feel, is the education, that female should be properly educated. They should be given to access to technology, and technology brings forth equality. So in the last lecture, you have already heard Dr. Yadav vehemently talked about AI. I would say not only AI, any kind of technology brings forth equality, and we should strive toward bringing technology to everyone. That will be something, a parameter that can bring equality and a better future society, better future world.
Okay, thank you very much. So next question is from Dr. Totun Adak. So His question is, what are the major hurdles to translate the education into job?
So main hurdles, I feel. So once again, let me tell you that I'm not an expert. I'm a chemistry professor. So let me, from that perspective, let me try to answer. Okay. So main hurdles, I feel that especially in India, once all the parents think of that education is the primary goal, everyone should achieve that one. So they educate their children and they take their time to educate them, they take their money and effort to educate them. But there is a gap from translating to education to job market. There are two points I would like to say. The parents, they have the idea from 20 years before. So when they try to impose those ideas, that doesn't translate well to the job market. Next thing, still social stereotypes is a big thing. And women are expected to stay at home and do work toward the betterment of the home. So that's a big problem to making them join the actual workforce. So those are the problems. I think those are the hurdles, and we need to break free of them to improve better participation in the workforce. That's what I feel. Yeah. I hope I answered your question too.
Yeah, thank you for your insight. Next question is from Chirosri, and Chirosri thanks you for sharing very pertinent statistical information about women involvement in the global workforce. And then she asked that, what will be your suggestions to young girl students to remain motivated to pursue their career?
That's a very interesting question, actually. And I would say that INYAS is playing a very vital role in there. So we should basically do more campaigns. We should advertise more role models. Besides propping to them the beauty models, we should prop to them better scientists, better engineers, better pilots, for example, better politicians, better educators. And those are the things as a society we should do to motivate the young girls. We should tell young girls that there's a world beyond looking beautiful also.
Yeah, that's a wonderful insights, I guess. So Chirosri, do you take over from this point?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Kutu.
Thank you.
So thank you, Dr. Shamanto, for your illustrious deliberation. Now it's time to gear up about the slogans and the snapshots submitted in the contest based on the theme of sustainable equality, society with gender equality. So there were 8 evaluators for judging the slogans. I would now call upon Dr. Ijaz Ahmed, who was one of the jury members of the slogan competition, to share his views about the quality of the submissions. Ijaz, you're here?
Yeah, just give me one moment. I
Okay.
have to, there is some noise. Just give me 1 minute and I'll be online.
So in the meantime, I think, Rithi, we can hear from you about the submissions related to the photography competition.
Yes, sure, Chirosri. Thank you. So I'm thrilled to share our incredible experience from this Instagram photography competition. It was centered around the theme, when she rises, we all rise. This competition witnessed enthusiastic participation from undergraduate and postgraduate students across academic institutions nationwide, and the results we got were truly inspiring. Well, the entries we have received were not just photographs, but I would say they were stories. Stories that captured a sense of women defying stereotypes and carving their path through the traditionally male-dominated fields. And the photographs showcased stories of independent women from all social strata across all age groups. This competition wasn't just about winning, it was about creating a platform where young minds can express their understanding of what is women's empowerment. The entries were judged independently by 3 evaluators, Dr. Shantosh Kumar Gupta from BRC Mumbai, Dr. Sandhya Laxmanan from CSIR NISPER New Delhi, and Dr. Shuman Nath from APJ AKGC Kolkata. And we're immensely thankful to all our esteemed evaluators for taking up this challenging job. So I won't lengthen this more than that, and I would like to invite Ijaz to take over, please.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I hope there is no noise in my background. Am I audible?
No, you don't have any
Yeah,
background
you're
noise.
perfectly audible.
Yeah.
Perfect. So actually, I'm very pleased to share that I went through all of the submissions. And there is one interesting observation that I made. When we talk about equality, so it is often limited to men and women. While if you look at the extent of slogans that has been submitted, it actually exceeded my expectations. I was expecting something. It's like usually when we talk about gender equality, we are talking in binary terms. It's either 0 or 1. But the slogan submitted by the school students even, they are very beautiful and they talk about not just two genders. Their thought is already way ahead of what we used to think at that age. And this is really a very progressive sign. In fact, we have 3 groups, A, B, C, where we had the middle school students, then we had high school students, then we had one category for UG and PG. The interesting part was that all of these categories has equal participation. And most of the slogans that I read and I evaluated, it was very difficult for me to decide that which one should be rated better or which one should be rated less. In fact, all were deserving. And I'm very honest to accept that the students now are way ahead of what I used to be at the same age, at that age. But out of that, there were a few which I really liked, where the people talked about the equality that is inclusive of everything. Like the former speaker quoted the Emma Watson quote, that it's not just about two genders. There are more in between, and that we have to consider. It's just like a garden. And one more thing that I realized, that it's not just the gender equality, but it's also providing the equal opportunity. Because when you say equality, you cannot put a limit that it's 1:1 or 1:2 or 1:2. In fact, now I'm in academic sector and I find the women as more laborious scientists than some of my counter male students. And that is really very, very interesting, and that must be promoted, I would say. And I appreciate this initiative, although I'm also a part of the chapter, but I must say that Chirosri has done a very excellent job. And in fact, for me, I learned several things by evaluating those slogans. So thank you and my best wishes.
Thank you, Izaz. It's really, we should aim for a more inclusive society. So with that, we have come to the most exciting part of today's event. Yes, the result announcement of the Pan-India slogan writing competition and the Instagram photography competition. So let me invite Dr. Totan Ardak to unveil the results. Totan, please.
Yeah, thank you, Riddhi. Am I audible?
Yeah, perfectly.
Is it the full screen?
Yes, visible.
Yes. So thank you everyone, and good evening. First of all, I thank both of our speakers, Dr. Kaushik Samanta and as well as Dr. Gitanjali Jadhav for their eloquent lectures. I learned a lot today, and thank you very much for bringing me also inside this, Riddhi and Chirasri. So I should not wait. So you may be thinking that when the results is going to come. This is before just I want to tell few things like that. This is on the occasion of the International Women's Day. Our group who has planned for two different type of competitions. One competition is obviously the slogan writing. Another one is the photography competition that was in Instagram. Both the competitions are meant for school and college students, and we received a good number of actually responses. I thank all the participants who has sent us their slogans, as well as they have uploaded their photography, and those photographs are captivating actually. So coming to the first, that is the slogan, where we discussed our slogan motto was, tagline was sustainable society with a gender equality. And in this slogan writing, what we find, not only in English, we find in different other languages like Hindi, Bengali, as well as Urdu, few of the slogans we received. And we divided this slogan writing into three different groups based on the classes. And the first group was from group class 6 to 8. There we got 4 submissions from class So one by one, I'll go coming to our results. So before going to, congratulations to the winners, and big congratulations to all the participants. So our first award goes to from the section A, that is goes to Afrin Bano. She is from Uttar Pradesh, and she has written a very exciting slogan, that is strong women, unstoppable force, breaking barriers, shaping the course. Thank you, Afrin, and many congratulations to you. I think you are on board. Afrin is there. I saw her in the second group. First prize went to Kartika. Kartika is from Bonafide Public School, Uttarakhand. What he has written: equal roots, sustainable suits, society's harmony bears fruits. Again, Kartika, congratulations to you, and thank you very much for sending a wonderful slogan. In the same section, we have a second prize. It goes to Sayan Maiti from Nimpi Ramakrishna Bhavan, West Bengal, who has written empowerment through diversity, prosperity through unity. Coming to our third category, that is the group C, where we received a lot of slogans. First, actually, award goes to Gauri Shankar Upadhyay, who is from Banaras Hindu University, who has written, let genders be discriminated only by chromosome. So when I was reading it, I liked it a lot. I liked it a lot. Thank you, Gauri Shankar. And in case of group C, the second prize goes to Anjali Patel, who has written in Hindi. Maybe I may not be that much good. Then also I'll try to read out. Samanta ke saath saksam samaj ki vikas. Anjali, thank you very much. She's from Sitpur, Chirasri University. Coming to third, that is Yasi Anand Gupta. She's also on board. I saw what she has written. Undue advantage to him? No. Undue opportunity to participate? Yes. So that's a great idea, Yasi. Thank you for sending us this wonderful slogan. And we want to specially mention another slogan which being sent by Medha Sukla from University of Lucknow. What she has written on building a sustainable future where equality thrives, both for the planet and all genders. Thank you, Medha, and congratulations to all winners. Coming to our photography competition, as Riddhi already told, the slogan or motto of our photography competition was, when she rises, we all rise. So first photography, actually we received a good number of photographs. All are exciting and as well as inspiring, you can say. And our judges, as Riddhi told, found very difficult to select. And we also going to see the photographs which have been captured by our students, and I thank you all for sending your photograph. And no more suspense, first prize goes to Ishita Shatra from Raja P.R. Mohan College, West Bengal. This is her photograph. You can see in the left side. So in the second prize goes to Aditi Dhali from Bhairav Ganguly College, West Bengal. And third prize goes to, second prize again goes to Priyank Saini from Uttar Pradesh, that is Sobit University. And the third prize goes to Saini Das. She is from Sri Shikshan College, West Bengal. So a big clap for the winners and a much more bigger clap for the participant. This is from my end. Stay blessed and keep smiling. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, there is a special mention. I have forgotten. So Surashis Vishwas. This is another photograph. Just I wanted to mention. So we are Surashis Vishwas. Just we want to mention you that you have also won, and that is a special prize been given to you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Totan, for doing the honors. So we have almost come to the end of today's event. But before we conclude, if there are any comments or feedback which any one of you want to share, especially the participants, please feel free to share. You can unmute yourself and say. If there are any feedback from any of the participants or for any of the members who are attending this event. Well, so if nobody has anything more to say, then on behalf of all the members of the INYAS zone, I would like to congratulate all the winners and the participants who have made this contest really worthwhile. Our best wishes to all your future creative endeavors. A special thanks to the speakers of today's event, Dr. Gitanjali Yadav and Dr. Kaushik Samanto, who have shared their inspiring views on the role of women in breaking the technopatriarchy to catalyzing equality for striking harmony in society. Appreciation to all the members of the INYAS zone who have made their time to be an integral part of this event. And last but not the least, a wide round of applause to our dear Miss Ananya Banerjee of INYAS, who always manages the logistics so skillfully behind the scene. So thank you one and all.
Chirashri, we could have one photo.
Yeah, sure. So please, everyone, put on your camera. Yes, Sananya, so you can take a photo. The participants also, if you're there, please put on your camera.
Thank you. Done.
Done? Okay.